In the heart of North America, in a small, forgotten town known as Eldridge, the air was always thick with the scent of pine and the eerie silence of a place long past its prime. Eldridge was a town where the shadows seemed to linger a little longer, and the whispers of the wind carried secrets of the old and dark. The local police department, housed in a decaying brick building that groaned with every gust of wind, was understaffed and overburdened. Officer Michael Dean was one of the few who remained, a man whose eyes had seen too much, his once bright gaze now dulled by the years of unresolved mysteries and the town's dark whispers. One cold November evening, as the first snowflakes began to dance in the chill air, a call came through. A voice, quivering with terror, reported strange noises and lights at the old Miller farm, abandoned since the 1950s when the last miller took his life, leaving behind tales of hauntings and curses. Michael, with his partner, the rookie Sarah Ashwood, headed out. The drive was silent, the road winding through dense woods, the headlights cutting through the fog like blades. Arriving at the farm, they found the gate ajar, creaking on its rusted hinges. The house stood like a mausoleum, its windows dark, save for one on the second floor which flickered with an unnatural light. "Stay close," Michael whispered as they approached, his hand resting on his gun. The door was unlocked, swinging open with a mournful creak. Inside, dust hung in the air, disturbed by their footsteps. The house was a time capsule, untouched by modern hands, filled with the ghosts of the past. They followed the light upstairs, each step creaking underfoot, the silence so profound it seemed to amplify the beating of their hearts. The light came from a room at the end of the hall, the door slightly ajar. Sarah pushed it open. Inside, the room was empty except for an old radio from which the light emanated, flickering like a beacon of doom. The radio was playing static, but within that noise there were whispers, words that chilled the blood. "Leave, not safe," the radio hissed. Before they could react, the door slammed shut, enveloping them in darkness. Panic surged through Sarah, but Michael's flashlight cut through the gloom. He tried the door, it wouldn't budge. "Stay calm," Michael said, though his voice betrayed his own fear. He looked around, the room was barren, save for the radio. He approached it, the static growing louder, the whispers clearer, more desperate. Suddenly, the static ceased, and a voice, clear as day, spoke. "You should not have come here, Michael Dean." Sarah gasped, "How does it know your name?" Michael didn't reply. He was staring at the radio, now silent, the light gone. A cold draft swept through the room, and the door creaked open by itself. They rushed out, the house feeling oppressive, as if it watched their every move. Back at the station, they reviewed the call logs. No one had called about the Miller farm that night. Michael's mind raced, the voice, the familiarity of it, it was like an echo from the past. The next day, the town awoke to a new horror. Officer James Hartley, a man who had served with Michael for years, was found dead in his car, parked just outside the old farm. His face was a mask of terror, his eyes wide, mouth agape as if he had seen the abyss itself. The coroner's report was inconclusive, but Michael knew. He knew the farm was cursed, that it had claimed another soul. He couldn't shake the feeling that whatever entity resided there was now aware of him, taunting him. Sarah and Michael returned to the farm in daylight, this time prepared. They brought recording equipment, hoping to capture whatever unholy sounds haunted the place. As they entered, the air felt colder, the house seemed to lean closer, listening. They set up the equipment in the room with the radio, now silent and still, like a snake waiting to strike. The recordings were maddening. Voices, many voices, overlapping, some from decades past, some recent, all speaking of fear, of death, of an entity that fed on despair. That night, Michael decided to stay at the farm, to face whatever was there. Sarah protested, but he was resolute. Alone, as night fell, the house whispered to him. Windows that were closed creaked open, shadows moved where there should be none. The radio crackled to life, and this time it was his wife's voice, long dead, speaking to him from beyond the grave. "Michael, let go, you're not alone here," she said, her voice a mix of love and sorrow. He wept, the grief raw and fresh, feeling her presence, or something mimicking it, around him. Then, the voices turned, growing angry, accusing him of abandoning them, of not saving them. In a desperate act, he smashed the radio, the voices fading to a haunting echo. But the house seemed to laugh, the walls closing in. Sarah found him in the morning, sitting in the corner, silent, his eyes vacant. He spoke of nothing but the voices, of seeing his wife, of the house being alive, feeding off the town's sorrow. The investigation into the farm was officially closed, the town preferring to forget. But the curse of the Miller farm didn't end. Michael was never the same, and occasionally, on cold November nights, when the snow begins to fall, one can hear from the old brick police station, now abandoned, the sound of a radio playing static, filled with whispers of the damned. Eldridge grew quieter, its people fewer, each disappearance or death linked in some way to that cursed farm, a place where the police dared not tread anymore, a monument to the unknown horrors that lurk in the quiet corners of North America.